Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for another one of our weekly track roundups, where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. As you know, to support this segment, down there in the description is our Amazon Associates link. You click on that if you live in the US. Anything you buy on there, we get kickback from it. Use it to buy some stuff you were going to buy anyway. Also down there is our link to the website turntablelab.com. They are a fantastic site where you can get great colorful pressings of records that I've reviewed and more, as well as turntable and sort of audio equipment for the budding vinyl collector. I see that a lot of you guys have been using that link. In fact, a lot of people have sort of transitioned over from the Amazon link to the Turntable Lab link, which is actually pretty cool, you know, for buying records and buying music and buying turntable stuff, which again, very cool, because Amazon, you know, I do like my Amazon link. I do like that you guys support us through the Amazon link, but Amazon they're slightly Satan. You know, I'll just leave it at that. But Amazon, you know, keep doing your thing. All right, let's go on before I get myself in too much trouble. Love you, Amazon. So both of those links, again, down there in the description at the very top of the description. Let's get into the tracks with the worst tracks of the week. We're going to be kicking it off with the brand new Death from Above 1979 track, Freeze Me. This track is not at all what I look for or enjoy from a Death from Above album. But the thing is, this is inevitably what would have happened had the band just continued originally when they, you know, were at their creative and artistic peak, because the drum, vocal, bass guitar combo, at least in the case of the style of music they were writing, you know, was going to run into its limitations. And here we see less emphasis on the bass. Seems more like they're making just a straight dance music track with a more normal and average balance of instrumentation. A lot of the lyrics are awful. In fact, the rhyme scheme is really bad. I would say just very basic, to the point where it's obnoxious. You know, there's absolutely nothing special or captivating about the songwriting either. It's just like a really average sounding song from a duo that originally sounded very special. And again, you know, this is what was going to happen unless they somehow, you know, found a way to get more experimental, more wild, more out there. But Death from Above, they were never one of those kinds of bands. You know, they were never like a lightning bolt or something like that. You know, which even in that case, you know, you can run into limitations, you know, sort of with such a simple and straightforward, you know, instrumental build, instrumental palette. But, you know, it's totally fine, though, because that's part of what makes them unique. But I'm not going to go on a diatribe about bass drum vocal combos. I'm just going to move on. So the Death from Above track, very underwhelmed, very uninterested in it. Next, the new car seat headrest song, Stoney Bologna, featuring Sam Ray. This track is terrible, but it's not really meant to be good. It's a diss song directed towards Sam of the musical project Teen Suicide, because Sam released this long think piece-esque diatribe on the internet of him sort of like critiquing car seat headrest and sort of making fun of Will's music under the name, which is really odd, because pretty much everything he accuses Will of as far as an artistic shortcoming, like he's guilty of 2, 3, 4, 5 times more, because I have not heard a Teen Suicide album that was listenable or entertaining all the way through. You know, as clearly as Will sometimes wears his influences on his sleeve, he can at least pen a somewhat entertaining record, especially in the case of his last one, in my opinion. Teen Suicide, not so much. So with that in mind, the think piece is even more hilarious. And, you know, I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, obviously the diss track is very bad. It's very corny, but it's sort of tongue-in-cheek too. You know, give it a listen if you want a good laugh. The new Torres song, Skim, unfortunately, has made it into this section of this episode. Was anticipating the song to be great, especially since there were at least a couple of tracks off of the last Torres album that I thought were really good. However, in the case of this new song, this just sounds like a really awkward, like ripoff from the last St. Vincent record. And combine that with some really awkward, squawky, very melodically deficient guitar soloing throughout a good chunk of the track. And it's just one of the weirdest and I guess most unsatisfying songs I've ever heard Torres put together. I can commend the fact that it seems like she's trying to go a little bit more experimental, but the influences that are kind of pushing her in that direction are super painfully obvious, and she's not really transforming them into anything that I find to be all that riveting or exciting, or the final word I'm looking for is I guess kind of distinct. You know, it just seems like, oh well, you know, I've already heard this before, but much better, and not that long ago either. So I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, I do think there are probably some people out there who will dig this track more than me. Give it a shot, you know, especially if you love the last album, give it a shot. Next, Electronica, Letter to Fallon. You know, this track to me is the exact reason why we have not heard a Electronica album yet, because this track is terrible. Between the bad Kanye impression with the awful auto-tuned intro, the completely uninspired and basic couple of verses on this track that are loaded with these generic motivational bars, where I don't know where this dude is getting this passion to rap about motivation. Where's his motivation been for the past, I don't know what decade, as far as like, where's an album? Is an album on the way? Is there an album? Where's the album? Is an album around the corner? Where's the album, Jay? So this, not interested in it. Totally done with it. Get it out of my face. It's terrible. Moving on from there. Miley Cyrus with the song Inspired. Ironic, because the song does not sound inspired at all. It just sounds like more bland white girl from the country pop rock with her last song Malibu. It's a little corny too, with all these like personal allusions to her growing up and her family and her dad and I don't know where she got this terrible 90s sweater in the thumbnail of the YouTube video. The sort of rainbow logo with the MC on is even more confusing, but I'm digressing here. I'm not even talking about the music at this point. And that's because there's not really much to talk about. You know, there's not much in terms of like substance here. Miley is getting really personal, and I think only her most hardcore fans who care about her personal life will even be mildly interested in this. I don't know, man. It seems like she sort of made this really fast transition from total pop icon psycho to like, I'm just going to go back to like Party in the USA Miley, but you know, like turned into somewhat of a hippie, and now I'm super mellow. You know, it's kind of like that same level of innocence and like, oh, you know, everything's bright and sunny and, you know, cool now, and I don't really need to you know, over sexualize myself, or you know, wear any gold in my teeth, or you know, be really gritty or naughty or anything like that. I'm just gonna play it real cool, real chill, and you know, smoke a bowl and just chill. Moving on from there, the last track I want to put in this section is the new MDNR and Scissor Sisters song, Swerlk. I will give this song credit. It is one of the most gaudy tracks I've heard in a long time, and this may be one of those instances where you hear a track that it's so bad that it's good. It is this balls and vagina to the wall too. Balls and vagina, you know, not just balls to the wall, but vagina. Balls and vagina to the wall dance track with this driving, dirty, rough beat, and the vocal gimmick or hook on this song is kind of like this combination of twerk, working it, swirling it, and so it comes out in this weird mutation of a word, Swerlk. And that's basically the, you know, the gimmick. It's the hook. It's the refrain. The Swerlk. You want to Swerlk. So I don't know. Sounds like a bad meme to me. Sounds like they're trying to make a bad meme, but Again, could be one of those situations where it's so bad that it's good. You know, maybe you guys next week, it's going to catch on, and come that time, you'll be on the dance floor swirling yourselves. But that's going to do it for this section of the video. Let's get into the Met tracks, the tracks that I wasn't super crazy about, but I still wanted to mention. I thought that you guys might be a little more into them than I am. For some good hardcore with a bit of a throwback vibe, you know, there's a Turnstile connection here as well. So the Turnstile fans, check this out. The new Trapped Under Ice track, No Relief, really hard, really aggressive. It's kind of got that, you know, old school 90s, I'm super macho kind of quality to it. It's pretty funny. Iron and Wine, Call It Dreaming. It's a pleasant track. I've never been a huge Iron and Wine fan, but this track seems okay. Christian Scott, aTunde Adjuah, has a new track titled The Walk. Christian Scott's last album, Stretch Music, I enjoyed how he worked in some elements of like synthetic percussion and electronics into, you know, this great jazz instrumentation. To me, it was really creative. It was really kind of pushing things forward a little bit. He tries to do the same thing here with some synthetic percussion in the background, kind of padding away very lightly. I wish it was a little heavier or a little bit groovier. And there's some pretty wild background vocals or sort of guest vocalists on this thing that I like quite a bit too. This track is a bit of a mixed bag. You know, the performances are good. I wish the percussion was better, you know, but there is some eccentric qualities there in the vocals. Definitely give it a shot. You know, he's trying to push some interesting ideas in jazz right now. I think he should be supported. I think he should be, you know, getting some ear time from you guys. Moving on from there, the new Alvvays track, Undertow, you know, it's kind of like their last album, in my opinion, in that it is, you know, just some okay kind of jangly, dreamy pop rock music. There's nothing really there in terms of like a distinct or memorable sound or persona or character or anything. You know, it's kind of melodic. It's, you know, very bright. It's very pleasant. It's very easy to listen to. I don't know, you know, people are going kind of crazy for it. I think it's just kind of merely decent. You know, not that it's a terrible thing to listen to. You could do far worse. Just letting you guys know that it's out, and you know, people are enjoying it. New album on the way too. Same thing with Chaz over at Tory, who has a new song out titled Girl, I Like You, and it's a synth funk number, which I enjoyed quite a bit of the tracks off of his last album. You know, definitely one of my favorite Toro albums so far. But, you know, if you know anything about Chaz's music, he comes out with a totally new sonic direction and palette with every new record. This, to me, isn't hitting me quite so hard. The hook seems kind of flaccid to me, very weak, very deflated. The groove, the instrumental is decent, probably the best thing about the entire track. I guess I'm not really all that enamored with the vocal performance on the song, you know, or the lyrics and the chorus, as I said. You know, I don't mind him going into this direction musically, stylistically, but I feel like if he's going to, you know, rule number one, the songwriting's got to be key. The songwriting's got to be strong, and I don't think that that is the case in this particular track. You know, I think this could have been a better written tune. But moving on from there, last track in this section, the new Lorde single, Sober, which honestly I don't really feel anything about. You know, there's some moments where the horns pop into this track and the instrumental gets kind of huge and epic that I like quite a bit, but I don't think this is one of the better tunes that Lorde has teased toward her latest album with, and I feel like at this point she's teased with so many tracks that she's almost kind of spoiling the surprise. I actually don't want to hear any more music before this album is physically completely out. So you know, this track, I'm not really all that nuts about it, but hey, you know, it might grow on me in the context of the record, which I'm just looking forward to hearing and just kind of, you know, getting that review out and being done with it. Moving on from there, let's get into the best tracks of the week, the tracks that wowed me the most. Ariel Pink comes through with another new single, new project on the way, I'm sure. This one is titled Another Weekend. Not quite as synth-driven or even as dreamy and nostalgic as Ariel's music typically is. This new song over here, you know, seems a little bit more modern in terms of the recording and the instrumental vibe, though it does kind of have a jangly quality to the guitars. Love the tune, love the vibe of the track. Ariel's taking a little bit of a different vocal approach too. I actually, you know, wouldn't have once I knew it was Ariel Pink, I was like, oh, okay, you know, cool. But, you know, at first it was like, this is an Ariel song? You know, it does feel like there is something a little off about it, but not in a bad way, you know, not in a bad way. He's doing something a little different, and the tune is still there, production is still there. So, you know, no reason to fret or anything like that. Looking forward to what he's doing. Moving on from there, Emily Haines and the Soft Skeleton, Fatal Gift. This is a great tune, great kind of abstract, multi-phased piano ballad, which Emily Haines, you know, as you know, she fronts Metric. You could not pay me to want to listen to a Metric record, to be completely honest. But Emily has been known in the past to release some great solo music under this sort of, you know, Emily Haines and the Soft Skeleton banner. I've been impressed with her music under this name in the past, and I'm very impressed with this song too. She really seems to let her creative side go and lets go of any you know, semblance of a straight pop formula when she's kind of in this sphere, in this creative sphere, and I like that. I think her vocals come off really well, and lyrically the song seems to be kind of a bit of a meditation, or her waxing poetic on low wages, on an economy that doesn't seem to work for the lower classes and only for the 1%, and so on and so forth. It's an interesting track, and I like the way that she kind of laments these issues, and you know, puts them in a way that it seems like, I guess, a little bit more relatable, kind of making the political personal in a way. Enjoying the track, liking what she's doing here, liking the instrumental, liking her vocal performance, liking the production, liking the lyrical themes here. So I'm looking forward to what she's doing with this. Don't miss out on this track. It's a very thoughtful song. Moving on from there, Young Thug with What the Fuck You Doin', featuring Quavo, Duke, and Rich the Kid. Banger alert, banger alert. It's one of those Young Thug tracks that's a fantastic banger. I'm not really going to say too much more about it than that. Other than that, it's a great banger. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, bang. New Zola Jesus song, Exhumed. Zola Jesus previously have not been like head over heels for her music. I've not been a huge fan, but have always kind of, you know, given her stuff a shot here and there, because I do like kind of that dark, occult, you know, left-hand path kind of vibe that her music sort of brings. You know, it does make me curious. I am intrigued by it. And I'm really liking what she's doing on this new track over here. Like, this is much more dramatic than a lot of what I've heard her release in the past. And there's almost like kind of an industrial tinged heaviness to the song too that I think is really great. I don't know what else to say. It's like one of the most powerful songs and singles that I've ever heard her drop, and it has my mouth watering for this new album. Like, it is so powerful. It is so hard-hitting. Her voice, which has always had a very kind of dramatic tone to it, feels so much more enhanced by the instrumental backdrop that she's given herself here. You know, really hoping that she follows through with this sound on whatever record she's about to drop, because this is great. This is some creative stuff. This is some heavy, powerful, potent stuff that she's dropping here with Exhumed. A few more tracks. Gorillaz with Sleeping Powder. Apparently this is like a B-side from the Humans album. It's more of a 2D driven track, and it's kind of the quirky, fun, left field, playful, and very catchy style of songwriting that I've enjoyed previously so much in Gorillaz music. And I'm just kind of blown away as to why I got that in spades on the debut, on Demon Days, on Plastic Beach, and why it almost completely evaporated on Humans. This track is better than more than half of the track list on Humans, and that's including the bonus tracks, the deluxe tracks. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. This it's a great song. You know, I love this track. It's a fantastic track, but it's so disappointing to hear that this is like technically a B-side, that this is a leftover. Like, this and potentially more material like this could have been on Humans, but instead we got Damon Albarn just kind of like playing producer for too many freaking vocal features, too many artists that it just seems like he wanted to work with just to work with them to get the names slapped onto the record, and that it's like, oh, that person's featured, oh, that person's featured, I got to check it out. Because in retrospect, it seems like that drives the creative spirit of the album more than anything, because it just kind of feels like, and I'm going to rant again because, you know, I still am very disappointed by Humans. It feels like a compilation of just a bunch of random tracks, that it's like, hey, I got to work with this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, because, you know, even though he did a great job of sort of working in those names and working in those guests on Plastic Beach. There was a lot of star power on Plastic Beach. I feel like that the other edge of that star power played out very hard on Humans in such a negative way. But, you know, whatever. Gonna move on. Got to shout out GHOSTEMANE and CLAMS Casino on this new track, Kali Yuga. Banger alert, another banger alert, but this one's like really trap inspired and heavy and dark and really cool. CLAMS Casino kills it on this track. Like, I did not know his production could be this diverse, this hard-hitting, this crazy. And keep in mind here that this is a part of the new ongoing series of Adult Swim singles. Previously, Adult Swim would just drop singles for the duration of the summer or a little bit longer than that. Now, the Adult Swim single series for this year is 52 weeks long. This is the third single out of all the singles we're going to be dropping for the next 52 weeks. So an entire year of Adult Swim singles, which is actually pretty exciting. There's actually usually some pretty cool stuff that comes out of the single series. You know, the past couple of tracks have been okay, but this one is fantastic. This one's banger supreme. So I don't know, man. Just looking forward to seeing what other tracks drop out of this series, especially if they're going to be as wild and as interesting as this. And want to shout out one more track, this new song from OCs, formerly The OCs. John Dwyer and company have decided to change the band name from The OCs to just OCs. They have a new project on the way. This new track over here that they have dropped with this new album announcement and this name change is kind of like a weird, wild, experimental extension off of what the band was doing on their last record, A Weird Exits. They're not going back in that kind of fuzzy, weird, noisy direction. You know, this is very much hi-fi. This is very much like crazy vocal performances. This is very much just like jammy, tense, you know, insane, lots of chemistry and kinetic energy coming into the performances with the band. Just sounds really great. Sounds really fantastic. Sounds like the OCs are kind of getting another breath, like the second wind or the third wind, or they're just kind of like turning another page in their career and, you know, hopefully hitting a new kind of creative streak. You know, at least that's what I'm hoping for. You know, I loved a lot of their early releases. They kind of lost me for a little bit there personally when they kind of went into that brittle psych lo-fi garage era, you know, where I think a lot of their material ended up sounding very redundant. But now between this last album and what they're teasing toward with this new track, with this new record, it seems like they're going in a totally different direction. It sounds really creative. It sounds really off the wall, and I'm just loving it. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys got some good recommendations out of this video. Again, all those tracks are linked down there in the description, along with our Amazon Associates link, along with our Turntable Lab link too. Hit those up, especially the Turntable Lab link. Get yourself some vinyl, get yourself a turntable, get yourself some speakers, and that's going to be it, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye forever.